They call it mitral stenosis. The weakening of the muscle of the heart also exists. I said, buy me a pound of bugle weed because I have to address this particular disease. When Adisa came back with the bugle weed, I opened the bag. I said, where is the bugle weed? He says, in the bag. I said, no, that is not bugle weed. What is it? I said, that's blue vervain. How do you know? Because I tasted it and it's sweet and I could look at it. That's why I could tell. I didn't learn herbs reading a book. That's what the herbalist does in New York and the United States. So I said, take me back to the store. So he took me back to St. John Herb store. And there, the young lady, which was black, said to me, well, how do you know that this isn't bugle weed? My boss been selling herb for 25 years. I said, young lady, your boss may be selling herb for 125 years. This isn't bugle weed. Call your boss. The boss came. What's the problem? I said, I don't think there's a problem. There's never been a problem with me. I just don't have those things. But you sold me something that was supposed to be one thing is another. How do you know? Because I know. This is not bugle weed. Bugle weed is bitter. Bitter as gall, and this is sweet. And bugle weed has, in intervals of an inch, has a little ball on the plant. A little ball. Every inch it has a little ball. This has no ball. I said, would you please go and see if the bag that was sent to you that said blue vervain could possibly be the bugle weed? And she goes inside, and guess what happened? The bags were mislabeled. And she apologized. But if I had not known about the herbs and learned about them in the proper way, she would have snowed me. I could give anybody in New York any herb and say it is this or that. They don't know. Because the very herbalists, when I came to New York just 15 years ago, one day telling their recipients to drink carrot juice, didn't they tell the recipient to take golden seal? Well, when you do such a thing, you're showing and telling the world that you don't know what you're doing. And this is what happened to me when I went on WLIB. And I told the audience at WLIB that carrots were artificial. They all denied me. 1 year later, when Nova came up with the program, that not only was it artificial, they showed that it was made by crossing the Queen Anne lace and the wild yam. You do not mix herbs unless they belong to the same valence. What do I mean by that? I mean this. In the kingdom of life, a yarrow plant, which is known as the Queen Anne lace, could only and will only pollinate another Queen Anne lace. Why? Because the pollen carries the same amount of valence as the other. And through that process we know as chemical affinity, they join. Now, there is another mixture that we are totally unaware of beside the natural one, which is chemical affinity. The other one is a mechanical mixture. What is a mechanical mixture? A mechanical mixture is when you cut a sliver in a plant, like the Queen Anne lace, and you cut a sliver in another plant, and you take out the heart of the stem, and you put it inside the Queen Anne lace, and you tape it. That is hybridization. Black people knows nothing about this. And now this plant produces something other than what it was originally. Because now you're uniting Queen Anne lace with wild yam. You don't get the wild yam or the Queen Anne lace. You get what? A carrot. They went further to show that it was made in Holland. And little before that article came out, I had returned to the drawing board to find this carrot. I knew it was artificial. Why? Because it doesn't produce seed to reproduce itself. Carrot just does not produce a seed that reproduces itself. So I knew it was artificial. And beside that, it contains starch. When I go back to do my research, guess what I found? That the German made the lamb, the German made the barley. I said, oh no. This is why the Arabs are so indebted to Germany. Because the German make the Arab food. The Arabs has no food, you know. Arabia never had food. Arabia doesn't have food now. Nowhere in Arabia you find natural food. Everything the Arabs eat, the very Quran that they read came out of Germany. Also their food. If the German removed the food from the Arab, they starve to death. Oh, this is nasty, isn't it? Oh, yes, it is. It's treacherous.
You know what we're going to do? We're going to take a slight break here, and then we're going to continue. So if anybody has any questions,
write it down.
Get it ready, because we got about head face.
What? Go what? They never had anything natural in Arabia.
He continues on. And what was that last point that you were making? Or does anybody know? Or is there a question? All about the Arabs. Arabia has no food.
You see, many of us blacks hold the Arabs supreme. Not in my book. Because how could someone eat artificial food all their life and be smart when the very food that you eat influences the brain to allow you to think? And if you eat the wrong food, you're going to think the wrong things. And that, again, is common sense. If you take a diesel automobile and put in it gasoline, what happens?
It can run.
It cannot run.
If you just put gasoline
in a diesel engine?
Oh, no, I didn't hear that part. Question.
You can't.
No.
So the human body responds the same way. The black race has never had anyone to really show us what we should or should not eat. The only man that came was messenger of our honorable Elijah Muhammad. The only man that said, stay away from the pork. And when I, Sebi, sat and ate with the messenger in his house on 3837 South Woodlawn Avenue in Chicago, the messenger personally told me and Brother Harry Nance from New Orleans that we should not be eating meat at all. And we should not be eating anything on this menu because it is poisonous to us. But if he, the messenger of Allah, Elijah Muhammad, had told the black race of the United States to stop everything, who would listen then? So he had to he couldn't cold turkey us. He was very intelligent. He removed the pork. And just by removing the pork and many other little things, they rebelled and they said they wasn't going to join because they had to eat their pork. Telling us that we have been conditioned, not only brainwashed. I don't even think of brainwashing. I'm talking about that conditioning. They have made us addicts. Which black person in America eats food that is consistent with their African ancestry? Don't even go there, because none. Then we go to the Maya, Honduras, where I was born, this Latin American country.